D, wait for it, delightful.
Check out the name tag. You're in my world now, Grandma.
What's up, nerds? So today on this video, I'm going to be talking to you guys about what I feel is the fall of Star Wars. Now, there's been a lot of talk about Star Wars in the media these days and everything, and I just want to break some stuff down for you and see where this progression or decline in Star Wars has begun, or the progression in the decline. But before I get started on all that, I just want to say that if you like what I do here and you enjoy independent content here on YouTube, please consider subscribing to my channel. YouTube within the last 6 months did a bot and old account cleanse / purge, and there was some collateral damage. So please consider liking, subscribing, and sharing my videos, and I thank you in advance. So as I was saying before, there just has been a lot of news, and I will get to that most recent news, but I just want to say that before we get started on all of this, I am not angry. I am a huge Star Wars fan. I love Star Wars, always have, probably always will, just because you can't take away my enjoyment of the things that I like, even if you do bad things with it or things that I think are bad. So I'm going to go through this, and I just want you to think about a couple of things. I want you to think, is there evidence for my claims? And there will be, and I'll leave links in the description of articles that I read to bring you this video. The second thing that I want you to do, to just realize, are you aware of who you're listening to and the things that I've done in the past? And you can go and check out some of my videos if you feel the need to do that, or you can just take my word for it, whatever you feel. And then, is there a credible source? Or is this a credible source? And am I a credible source? And like I said before, there are links in the description down below. So everything that I'm bringing to you is stuff that I've read, I've looked over. And I mean, I will formulate my own opinion on it, but you can too. But what I'm giving to you is facts. And yeah, so I'm going to stop with all that, and I'm going to get started on this, though. So now Lucas told Iger that he was considering retirement and planned to sell the company, as well as the Star Wars franchise. On October 30th, 2012, Disney announced a deal to acquire Lucasfilm for $4.05 billion, with approximately half in cash and half in shares of Disney stock. I bet right now they're regretting that with the whole pandemic going on and their stock like plummeting like a rock in water. Anyways, so Lucasfilm President Kathleen Kennedy was handpicked by George Lucas to carry his legacy into the future, having worked with Lucas as well as other industry giants like Steven Spielberg and her own husband Frank Marshall for decades on the franchises that fandom was built around. Kennedy was, in his opinion, the perfect choice when he opted to sell the company to Disney and leave it all behind. Now, 4 years later, Kennedy shepherded Lucasfilms into an unprecedented success under the House of Mouse, with a $2 billion grossing film, a successful animated series, several books on the bestseller list, and top-selling comic book series. She then went on to say, "I have a responsibility to the company that I work with. I don't feel that I have a responsibility to cater in some way to those particular fans." Kennedy told New York Times in an interview in 2018 focused around Jones, who played Jyn Erso in Rogue One. And then she went on to say, "I would never just seize on saying, well, this is a franchise that's appealed primarily to men for many, many years, and therefore I owe men something." So she went on there, and then she also famously wore t-shirts or a shirt that said, "The Force is female." At that point, making it very clear that she wanted to ostracize some of the fan base. And by some of the fan base, I mean the men. Of course, you know, a lot of people want to bring up the original Star Wars, saying that the only female character was Princess Leia. And I have to say right now, what better character to look at as a female than Princess Leia? You know, one thing that I do want to bring up that a lot of people criticize is her Princess Leia outfit, or her slave, Jabba the Hutt's slave getup. And they want to say, oh, well, she's a slave to a man and she's put in this scantily clad outfit. And I go, yeah, she was. She was made a slave. That sucks. But you know what she did then? She took the chain that was put around her neck, she put it around the man that enslaved her, and choked him to death with it. Can I say boss right there? So, moving on to this, Since Kennedy has taken over Lucasfilm as president, the Star Wars franchise is in every way has gone downhill. So before you get mad at me for all of this, for this statement and what I'm about to say, just hear me out, okay? Before you start calling me an ist and a phobe and a man baby, which I'll get into that in just a second also. So we want to start off with Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens, which was released on December 18th, 2015, and ended up grossing $2.068 billion, which is all said and good. And even though the movie was just basically a ripoff of A New Hope, most fans liked it. I think that most fans liked it because they hadn't had a Star Wars movie in 10 years, and they just really wanted the world of Star Wars back on the big screen. I mean, listen, I went and seen Star Wars The Force Awakens the first time, and I loved it. Now I just go, hey, it really is A New Hope, just rewritten with some new characters, but I mean, it's just crazy how much it's so similar. So then, on December 15th, 2017, Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi hits theaters. Now, this movie was long awaited, and people were anticipating and hoping that it would be The Empire Strikes Back to New Hope, which I stated before, that's what The Force Awakens was. It was basically rehashed. It was a rehashed New Hope. So people were hoping that this would not be a rehashing of Empire Strikes Back, but have the same sentiment. And it did not. Rian Johnson decided that he wanted to subvert expectations. That went nowhere. Now, I have to say, right now that I liked the movie when it first came out. I mean, I liked a lot. I liked the whole car chase through space with the First Order hunting down the rebels and everything. I liked that whole aspect of it. But there were things that I absolutely hated. Canto Bight, can't stand it. I hate everything on Canto Bight. I don't like it. It shouldn't have been in there in my opinion. It makes no sense in my opinion. Don't like it, but hey, I didn't write the movie, so whatever. Well, whether you like it or not, this movie made $1.333 billion at the box office, further cementing Kathleen Kennedy's hold on the franchise. Now, unfortunately, this movie divided fans, and neither Rian Johnson or Kathleen Kennedy decided to squash that. But instead, they doubled down and called us big man babies. Now, whatever this was, it was definitely the beginning of the fall of Kathleen Kennedy. And I will go on to start to really bring in the facts to back up that statement. And it all started off with the release of Solo. And on May 25th, 2018, Lucasfilms and Disney saw just how angry fans were. This movie made only $393.2 million at the box office. Nothing to scoff at, but not the billion that they were used to seeing with their Star Wars films. Now, you might be saying, oh, Solo didn't do well because no one was looking for a Han Solo standalone movie. And I say, you might be right. But we have to look at the other evidence that goes along with this. And that is, on May 31st, 2019, Disney theme parks opened Galaxy's Edge, an entire section of Disneyland devoted to Star Wars. Now, while the themed area initially drew crowds to the point of leaving the rest of Disneyland relatively empty, a drop in audiences after a first few months led to the resignation of Kathleen Powell, who oversaw the US and Paris-themed areas. And I reported on that a little while ago, and you can check that out right here. You can check out my whole thoughts on that and everything. I'm not going to go into it too much, but everything. But a woman was fired because the theme park didn't do so hot, and that just right there, is just one more notch in the fans are angry, and you want to disappoint us, your customers, fine. We just won't buy your product. Now, you may be wondering, while all this is going on, you might be thinking, oh, that's nothing and everything. But just look at the third strike for the Star Wars during all of this, is that merchandise sales for Star Wars have been down. When George Lucas originally signed his deal for Star Wars, the Star Wars franchise, he took all of the rights to the merchandising because nobody thought that anybody would want t-shirts or any toys dealing with Star Wars because they didn't think it would make a lot of money. That's where they were wrong. George Lucas made a huge amount of money from merchandising sales. Action figures always sold and people wanted more. Personally, I don't collect action figures anymore, but when I did, I always picked up Star Wars action figures. They were great. They had a huge selection of Star Wars action figures, And they were, Leia had like so many different outfits that and they'd make more than one because they'd always come up with a new sculpt or whatever. It was great and everything. So there's that. And recently, Bleeding Cool did an article where the rebelscum.com sat down with Chuck Tercia, the president of Diamond Select Toys, and he had plenty to say. And one of his statements was, I will say that what we have seen, the sales on the products from 7 and 8 were not too strong. I know those movies, as well as 9, have their fans, and those fans might say GG just never did the right products or characters or formats, and they might be correct. However, we can only go by what we know. And tell me exactly, Chuck Tercio, what is it that you know? And he went on to say, as I mentioned before, we are working on some, but I have to ask, are you sure there are lots of demand for these very requested characters? The overall demand for busts and Star Wars products is not what it was 10 or even 5 years ago. And what happened 5 years ago? That's right. Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens was released on December 18th, 2015. So I'm just saying, so what you have right there is a triple whammy right there. The Solo film did badly, the theme park is doing badly, and merchandise sales have never been lower. So what do you do next? Well, it's simple. You release another film. I mean, come on. What are you talking about? And on December 20th, 2019, Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, was released. And sure, it pulled in $1.074 billion at the box office, but it took longer than both the first 2 movies in the sequel trilogy took to get there. Now, this is all culminating to the hiring of Leslye Headland. And she's been in the news quite a bit this week and Variety just did an article about hiring her for their new female-centric Star Wars Disney Plus show. Now, I'll be honest, I wasn't too familiar with Miss Headland, but looking into it, and it looks like that she worked at the Weinstein Company Miramax for 6 years, and one of those 6 years, she was Harvey Weinstein's personal assistant.
You knew!
And then, while she was at Variety's Inclusion Summit this year, Miss Headland had this to say.
Say that, like, I think white women need to kind of step up their game, to be quite honest. Like,
what do you mean?
I'm calling you out. Like,
that's professional.
I really do, because, like,
what a professional.
Like, I couldn't agree more with everything that these brilliant women are saying, but like I'm also seeing the silent killer, which is a lot of white women at the top.
Oh, look who's talking! Harvey Weinstein.
Ideas. I think a lot of it, to give them the benefit of the doubt, and I'll just speak from my own personal experience. It's just like I wasn't sure how to be an ally. I wasn't sure what type.
It's simple. When someone's raping somebody, you say something.
I was supposed to be using and being politically correct, and so as I started to rise in television, I started to just get more blunt and just start saying, like, I would like a black writer, because if I said diverse, you get well, white is diverse, which is something somebody said to me, and I was like, wow.
I don't think somebody said that to her.
It's not cool, but
I'm pretty sure she made that up.
But to really, I reached out to my, the women that I respect who are not white writers and directors, and I said, what should I say? What language?
All I'm hearing is not white.
And I think it's worth it if you're in a position of hiring power or greenlighting power to like reach out to people that are not like you and say, what can I do to be an ally? And
that's a fair question.
How can I support writers of color and LGBTQ and disabled writers?
That's a fair question too.
And,
that's a fair question.
What kind of vocabulary should I be using? Because
that's
I think
fair
it's
too.
Easier. I just see it in the room. Like I just see them kind of go like, it's just easier. Like the guy at the top's louder. It's harder to say like, I think this should be a black writer. I think this should be an Asian.
Well, the one that talks louder is the one that gets heard.
Should be this type of like I would like to cast, and really I find it a lot as well with as a queer woman, like with gay characters, whether they be gay men
I didn't know
or,
she was homosexual.
Gay women, where I'm saying like that's not a gay person. Like, sorry, like this is not a gay person. Like we're not representing that in this storyline. Like.
I'm not sure what she was trying to say with that that last part there. So she's calling out you white bitches. Maybe she needs to call out the queen, Kathleen Kennedy, for not hiring a female director with no experience, as she said in the past. So I know there's been a lot of criticism of Star Wars fans, and I should say male Star Wars fans mostly. And, us phobes and ists, whatever you want to call us. In fact, John Campea just said this on his own show.
Listen. I can already hear the man babies crying about, why is it female-centric? There's an agenda. Listen, let's just put that to bed and not touch on this again, shall we? Listen, they've already got 3 other series coming that are all male lead, okay? That means right now, if this comes out and it's only 4 shows, that's 75% of their male lead. They got one that's going to happen to be a female lead one. Deal with it and just move on. So can we move on from that? Thank you.
And then he got schooled with this.
You're going to be a little surprised about what I have to say, though.
Okay.
I really, really loathe the descriptor of female-led, because here's why. I love the idea of a predominantly female cast. I think it's fantastic. But my problem is, why are you only releasing the fact that it's a female-centric show? Oh, and they're going to be doing some kung fu or whatever. Like, why say that? Can you read me the headline again? Except take out female-centric and just put male-centric.
Let me see.
Sorry,
here.
you weren't planning on going back to that.
I wasn't planning on going back to that shot.
The point is, these other shows that you talk about that are predominantly male-driven, nobody says, oh, we have this upcoming series. We're not going to tell you anything about it, but it's going to be predominantly men. You want to watch? Like, that's exactly what it's saying. And like, for me, yes, I want to see shows with more women, obviously. But you don't have to say that's the selling point. Tell me a little bit about the story. Make me fall in love with the story. Because ultimately, I'm gonna finish that thought. Ultimately, if the show does fail, then it looks like it failed because it was female-centric, not because of a million other factors that it could have failed by. And also, when the first news of it is female-centric, I know that there's a lot of people, not just men, but also some women named Karen, who also are just going to be like, all right, I'm not interested in that. I'm tuning that out.
So in conclusion, I just want to say, as a Star Wars fan, and you can call me an incel, you can call me a man baby, I don't care. Am I mad that female characters are in Star Wars? Strong female characters? Absolutely not. I love Princess Leia. I actually like Rey to some degree. I wish that they would have done her better. I wish they would have shown her, if she wasn't a Mary Sue in that first movie, that would have been better also. I mean, if they showed her becoming great, not automatically great. But I just want to say that if you're mad at us because we love something and we criticize something that we love because we don't want crap. We don't want crap Star Wars. We want good Star Wars. So we're going to criticize it. Of course we are. If you love anything, you're going to criticize if it's not good. And for you to say, oh, you're just big man babies because you don't like strong women, that's nonsense. That's nonsense. Princess Leia has always been loved and always will be loved. And I think that people that don't realize that we just want good Star Wars and we're not going to pay for crappy Star Wars. So yeah, like I said, this is all culminated to the failing of Star Wars, and so that $4 billion that they spent on it, I don't know if they're making it back or whatnot, but I'll tell you right now, they need to step it up. Okay, maybe
white women need to
bitches
step up
need
their
to step
game.
it
I'm
up.
calling you bitches out.
Okay, I'm talking to you, Kathleen Kennedy. So listen, tell me what you guys think about this. You can tell me how much I'm a man baby, all of that good stuff. I love it, you fiery folks. You can leave all your comments in that section down below. If you like this video, go and hit that like button. I won't mind. If you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it. And if you stuck around this long, I appreciate that also. You guys have a good day. May the Force be with you. Bye.